Can you believe it? There's this tiny plot of land in Jerusalem, just 37 acres, that some people believe holds the key to humanity's final chapter. According to one pretty detailed analysis, the events that happen here aren't just about regional politics. Nope, they are supposedly the trigger for a prophesied global endgame. So what exactly is this prophecy? And why does this single piece of land hold so much power? All right, let's break it all down.
And that really is the central question, isn't it? The analysis we're exploring today presents this site as a geopolitical and spiritual powder keg. It's like the fuse is already lit and it's getting shorter every day. And the stakes, it argues, well, they just couldn't be any higher. This quote really gets to the heart of the argument. The whole idea here is that what happens on this holy site isn't just another conflict in a long line of conflicts. It's the start of a predetermined chain of events, one that's set to reshape the world as we know it. To really understand why, we have to start with the ground itself, and its incredibly dense and, very contested history. So this is the location we're talking about, the Temple Mount. For Jews, it's the holiest site on earth. For Muslims, it's their third holiest. And this shared sanctity, this shared importance, is precisely what makes it one of the most volatile pieces of real estate in the entire world. Just look at this timeline. It shows this nearly 3,000-year cycle of construction, destruction, and then reconstruction. The first temple stood for centuries, then it was destroyed. It was later rebuilt as the Second Temple. But after its destruction by the Romans in 70 CE, the site was fought over until the Dome of the Rock was built, and that has now been standing for over 1,300 years. And this right here, this is the core of the conflict. The competing claims are ancient, they're fundamental, and according to the source we're looking at, they are structurally irreconcilable. This creates what is basically a zero-sum spiritual and physical contest for the exact same sacred space. Okay, so that's the historical and the religious background. But how does this ancient conflict translate into the political reality of today? Well, it creates a geopolitical impasse. Right now, Islamic authorities control the Temple Mount, where the Dome of the Rock stands. And from a geopolitical standpoint, the source is really clear. Any attempt to remove it to build a third Jewish temple would be seen as an act of war by the entire Islamic world. It would lead to a massive, unavoidable conflict. And this is exactly why the source argues that things like diplomacy and negotiations are basically useless here. In this view, the only thing that could possibly change the status quo is an event so cataclysmic that it literally shatters the existing global order. So what could that cataclysmic event be? Well, the analyses we're examining today points to exactly what it might be: a global war that will violently break this centuries-old impasse. The source material lays out a very specific scenario, an invasion of Israel led by a coalition of Russia and key Arab nations. Now, this isn't just a modern political prediction. This particular alignment of nations is actually derived from interpretations of ancient prophetic texts. It's where geopolitics connects directly to eschatology. The human cost of this prophesied conflict is almost unimaginable. The analysis, drawing from its reading of the Book of Revelation, claims this war will result in the death of 1/3 of the world's population. 1/3. And to illustrate the sheer scale of this, the same text points to a 200 million strong army rising from the Euphrates region. I mean, a mobilization of that size would dwarf any military force in human history. And this brings us directly back to Jerusalem. The analysis predicts that somewhere in the middle of all this chaos, the Dome of the Rock is destroyed, and with that, the primary obstacle to rebuilding the Jewish temple is suddenly and violently removed. So what happens after a war that devastating? The source outlines the rise of a new global power structure, one that not only allows for the temple to be built, but actually helps make it happen. Out of the ruins of this war, a powerful global leader is predicted to emerge, but he won't appear as a villain. No, he'll look like a savior. A brilliant diplomat who promises to bring peace and order to a shattered world. The source we're looking at identifies this figure as the prophesied Antichrist. This path to power is laid out in a really clear sequence. First, the leader brokers a 7-year peace treaty, what the text calls a covenant, with Israel. A key part of this deal is authorizing the rebuilding of the Third Temple. But according to this prophecy, it's all a deceptive tactic. Exactly halfway through the treaty, he breaks the agreement, enters the new temple, and declares himself to be God. This brings us to the final and most critical part of this prophetic timeline.
So what is the ultimate purpose of this rebuilt third temple? According to this analysis, the rebuilt temple's purpose is completely subverted. It's not a place of worship for God, but the seat of power for this new world leader. It's basically transformed into the command center for a global government and the epicenter of a period of unprecedented persecution. And this quote from the source material really summarizes its entire argument. The construction of a third temple isn't seen as a positive religious development, but as the final, unmissable sign, a giant warning light that a final, terrible countdown for humanity has begun.
Ultimately, the analysis presents a world moving step by step toward a prophesied conclusion, with the Temple Mount at its very center. And it leaves us with a profound question to consider. Is our world's geopolitical future simply a random series of events? Or could it be following a script, one that was written thousands of years ago?